I knew how I felt about these circumstances surrounding January 6th, but I also was scared, to be frank. I had seen what happened to some of my former colleagues who had made that break and how they became the subjects of the vitriol. I can't speak exactly to what was brought down to Mar-a-Lago, but I could speak, and I can speak to how we were not handling classified information up to the standards that the national security community would expect. On December 11th, 2020, and it was when Mark and I crossed paths with the president in the Rose Garden Colonnade. He told Mark, "This is embarrassing. I don't want people to know we lost."
Former Trump administration aide Cassidy Hutchinson making headlines right here on MSNBC several times this week, promoting her new book, Enough. It's a tell-all of head-spinning chaotic moments she says she experienced in the Trump White House. Stephanie Grisham joins me now. Stephanie also served in that administration and wrote her own best-selling book, I'll Take Your Questions Now. Stephanie, my friend, welcome. Before we get to this, though, quickly, the breaking news today is that Trump will be in New York and may indeed be attending his civil trial on Monday, potentially Tuesday as well. He doesn't have to be there. What do you think is going on?
That I didn't know that was actually breaking, but that wouldn't surprise me. I'm thinking that this latest case has really got him pretty nervous and scared. And I think he's going to, if he does show up, it's going to just to make a show of it and continue to say that it's New York, it's liberal, everybody's against me, I'm a victim.
He's a victim. You think this one scares him the most because this is the one that hits his business. It hits his bank account, his pocketbook, more so than, it's a civil trial, more so than something that could potentially put him behind bars in a criminal trial, right? You think this is the thing that he cares most about?
Absolutely. He, in his mind, Trump Tower in Manhattan is the most recognizable building, beyond the Chrysler Building or anything else. So, that kind of thing being taken from him is got to be a huge blow to his ego. And also that's his home. He lives there. They've got family who live in Trump Tower. And so absolutely, I can't imagine what's going through his head right now. And as I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, I've got to say I feel bad for any staffer who is around that man right now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Cassidy Hutchinson, who could emerge as a key witness in the criminal trials against Donald Trump. What are your general impressions of her? And what has struck you about her revelations?
So I didn't work with Cassidy. She came in with Mark Meadows, and then, as I've said publicly many times, Mark and I just did not get along, and I went back to the East Wing. However, she was definitely his eyes and ears. She was definitely with him all the time. This was talked about in the White House, actually. And so it doesn't, I believe everything she's saying. She literally was there with the chief of staff all the time.
We talked about how, though? Was it appropriate? Was it inappropriate? Did people think that he was depending too much on her? She knew too much? What was the scuttlebutt on that?
No, well, the scuttlebutt was, anytime somebody new came in, they were all spies. Nobody trusted anybody, no matter what. He had 4 chiefs of staff, so you have to remember that. And so she was just with him all the time, and which people talked about it in the way of, okay, this is who the new people watching us are, and who is this girl, and that type of thing. But it's pretty normal to have a staffer with you if you're the White House chief of staff. That's a very, very big job. So it was not unusual that he leaned on her as hard as he did. And he'd worked with her for a while, so I know he trusted her. And then to answer your question, the revelations in her book didn't surprise me at all. It's funny because, to everybody else, it's like, whoa, are you kidding me? Here's more stuff. For me, I just kind of sit back and say, yep, that's right. How many people who actually were in the building have to say these things before people will actually start to believe us?
Here's something that she wrote. This is written about former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, quote, "I would sometimes find him leaning over the fire, feeding papers into it." And this line, she claims, is a direct quote. Here it is, quote, "Cass, if I can get through this job and manage to keep him out of jail," referring to Trump, "I'll have done a good job." Now, a spokesperson for Meadows says much of her claims are filled with half-truths, falsehoods, and purposely omitting context to sell books. But do these claims sound plausible to you? How do you interpret Meadows' reaction to what she's saying in the book?
Well, the reaction is, of course, just out of the Trump playbook. This is what they do. We're all liars. We're all telling half-truths. We're all just trying to sell books. That's That's just par for the course. What else are they going to say? Any interaction I had with Mark Meadows was the absolutely most depressing and horrible interaction I had. So doesn't surprise me to think that he was at a fireplace, which he did have in his office, burning documents. And the fact that he, took a job thinking, I just have to keep this guy out of jail. Think about that. That's amazing to me. I don't think I would take the job of White House Chief of Staff with the thought of, I've just got to keep this guy out of jail. But again, it doesn't surprise me that he came in and was actually talking behind the back of his boss, the president at the time, because he talks out of both sides of his mouth. He's always done it. He did it on Capitol Hill. He certainly did it at the White House. Hopefully he will, learn his lesson and speak up now and just tell the truth.